Cloud!
Give up, Braves! Hello adventurers! Today we have for you our very own Final Fantasy VII Rebirth review. Straight off the bat, if you're a fan of the original Final Fantasy VII, you should immediately pause the video and get the game because you will definitely love it, as it is almost a perfect sequel. We will be diving into the story, their new open world combat system, and talk a little bit about their minigames. Let's start off with their story. To address the elephant in the room, if you know nothing about the previous FF7, can you understand the story? Honestly, no. Even though the game includes a recap of what led the gang here, I still highly recommend newcomers to play the original FF7 before playing FF7 Rebirth. The beginning of the game briefly summarizes the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake and also provides, as mentioned previously, a small recap, allowing you to reminisce about the previous story. Majority of Chapter 1 are just getting us up to date on where the story is currently at. Chapter 2 is where the fun begins. After escaping from Midgar, which is under Shinra's control, Cloud and his team have arrived at the first new area, Grasslands. Yes, the first one, because there are many more areas to explore after that. And the point is that each and every area is huge. Starting from here is where Cloud and the gang's journey begin. Moving on to their open world, one of the massive changes from the previous remake is the fact that Rebirth has a huge world to explore. There are various side activities that players can do, such as fighting monsters and completing it within certain conditions, finding specific items, searching for summons, and so on. When you arrive in a new area, you have to visit their new tower system, where after unlocking it, the surrounding area will open up to reveal various side activities such as combat assignments, life springs, summon crystals, etc. Although each region has the same side activities, but Square Enix still gave each region its own uniqueness. For example, Grasslands feel ordinary at the beginning, but when entering Junon, there is a special Chocobo that climbs a steep mountain. In the Coral region, players can use an electric scooter and wear a swimsuit in the city. With all these varieties, it certainly keeps the game exploring sequence fresh and entertaining. Besides keeping the open world exciting, Square Enix also made sure that players' exploration are also semi-realistic. How? By giving fast travel some form of limitations. For example, from Grassland to Junon, you have to come to the Chocobo Carriage NPC to get a Chocobo to bring you there. Then it's different if you go from the Coral region, which is a different island. You have to travel using a ferry. These amazing details actually elevated our whole playthrough. For character progression, there is a new system called Folio. Characters in Rebirth have their own folio, which looks like a skill tree, where players can connect skill or abilities from one node to another. These nodes can be unlocked by using skill points that are earned every time you level up, or using a book called a manuscript that can be purchased from the shop or through a side quest. Each folio branch has its own uniqueness. For example, there will be those that give characters new abilities that can be used to the character himself or get synergy skills and abilities. There are also those that provide passive stats such as increasing HP, increasing basic attacks, and so on. Everything can be custom to suit your playstyle. Speaking of playstyle, let's discuss their combat system. The core of this game's combat system is similar to that of Final Fantasy VII Remake in that players still have to accumulate ATB bars, use various skills, magic, and props, as well as dodging and defending to avoid high enemy damage. Players can strategically plan their team setups to give their AI teammates more room to maneuver, so you no longer have to suffer by having terrible AI assists. It is also wise to maintain a good relationship with your group, so it unlocks better synergy attacks which saves you on ATB. If you want to take a break from exploring or fighting monsters, how about taking a look at their minigame section? Because Final Fantasy VII Rebirth offers a lot of minigames. We played a few, but we kept finding more and more minigame as the story progressed. Although they are optional for you to get more rewards, some of these minigames will force you to play them as the story progresses. If asked about the most fun minigame, I would say Hustle the Chocobo. Because since you can customize your Chocobo with cosmetics, it feels more rewarding when you win something. For now, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is only playable on the PS5, and the game features spectacular graphics and is a visual feast thanks to the amount of detail, lighting, and textures. But if you're asking if it's very different from the previous remake, there are no significant differences. It's more rich, but it's definitely not the game changer from its predecessor. But do note that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has two graphical modes, Performance Mode and Graphics Mode. You can change it via the option without restarting the game. It's disappointing that the graphics graphical quality in this mode comes at the cost of an inconsistent frame rate, especially when boss battles, which should greatly impact the overall gaming experience. It may be better than the demo since it's got the day one patch, but I still think it performs poorly in graphics mode. So I play along with performance mode. It has more motion blur if you look closely, but has more consistent performance at 60 FPS. Initially, I didn't have high expectations for the Part 2 remake because Square Enix had already done a good job in the previous remake, but it turns out that they made Final Fantasy VII Rebirth much different, especially when talking about the overworld expanding. It has more massive exploration, more diverse combat, and a storyline that might surprise all fans. Comparing it to the previous remake, which was more linear, you'll be presented with a variety of content with more freedom in determining some scenario, how close one character is to another, to more rewarding content if you want to complete everything. If you're a big fan of Final Fantasy VII, I'm sure this will satisfy you. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth gets a solid 9 from us. I would give it a 10, but the number 1 key on my keyboard is not functioning. What are your thoughts on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? Share with us in the comments below.
Thank you so much for watching our videos. Don't forget to give us a subscribe if you'd like to see more, and like so we know what kind of content you want to see. Got suggestions for new content? Let us know in the comments below too. Thank you so much again for watching. Take care, dudes.